Yo, it's Two-Side Anime here, and today we're about to talk about a series, and this series has been producing a lot of generational antagonists that I believe are going to blow up as soon as the anime officially drops. This series is no other than Kagurabachi. Kagurabachi is one of my favorite ongoing shonen series, and the reason for that is because of the antagonist characters and the MC Chihiro. Shonen fans throughout the world love it when an antagonist forces a character to question their resolve or solidify their resolve, making them go through a metamorphosis, pure transformation from the character we first started reading all up to the current events within the series. This is why so many people fell in love with Pain versus Naruto or Itachi versus Sasuke, and the list can go on. You can name a lot of series where the antagonist forces a character to change their way of thinking. Don't know what it is, but Kagurabachi is executing this trope with only having 3 antagonists that Chihiro actually fought and were introduced to the series. The sky's the limit for Kagurabachi, but I'm not here to waste your time. You know I'm about to talk a bunch of nonsense, but just let me cook. The first iconic antagonist character that was introduced to Kagurabachi was Sojo. Iconic is an understatement. Sojo represented everything that we love in a villain character. He was charismatic, manipulative, cold-hearted, and very powerful. Outside of all of that, Sojo's impact for this series was one of acceptance. The whole entire arc revolved around the idea 2 things can be true at once. Chihiro, the MC, believed that the enchanted blades that his father created should be only used to protect the weak, protect the people who can't protect themselves, which is why Char was introduced into the series. Char's character plays along with the idea that 2 things can be true at the same time. Char has the ability to heal people through her bloodline, but through her bloodline, Sojo can also manipulate her into creating weapons of mass destruction. And the same idea, the same duality was applied to the enchanted blades. Sojo believed that the weapons were created for mass destruction and solely used to kill people that stands in his way. Sojo's mindset completely went against everything Chihiro believed in, but Sojo's arrogance led him to believe that he knew more about the enchanted blades than the son of the man who created the blades, which was the whole reasoning behind their clash. Chihiro didn't want to accept Sojo and would never accept him at his table. That's what makes chapter 17 so special. During their clash, Sojo versus Chihiro, for the second time, we were given a visual representation of Chihiro accepting Sojo at the table while they aired out their grievances. While eating sweets, Chihiro finally accepted what I mentioned at the beginning of this video. 2 things can be true at the same time. Life is all about acceptance, and that's what Chihiro did. In chapter 17, page 13, Chihiro states, "I accept that both of us speak for my father, which is precisely why I won't show you any respect. The only thing I will do is cut you down with a thicker bloodlust." At that moment, Chihiro accepted that Sojo was right, that the weapons that his father created, the enchanted blades, can be used for mass destruction, but they can also be used to protect people. That's what his father actually wanted. 2 things can be true at once, the duality of having power. And with that bloodlust, he was able to cut down Sojo, and that was the end of Sojo's character arc. But we saw the amount of reflection that this character made Chihiro go to. So I want you guys to remember that theme. Duality. 2 things can be true at the same time, but more importantly, remember acceptance, because this comes in play in the current arc. But let's head over to the second arc of Kagurabachi. This arc is called the Sazanami arc. Kiora Sazanami was the 11th and most recent head of the Sazanami clan, and his whole goal and purpose was to run their annual auction where they sell humans, weapons like the enchanted blade, and any other trinkets that you can imagine. Kiora's character attacked something that's very sacred to Chihiro as a character, and that is the duty of a father, the love that a father gives his children, the love that Chihiro still longs for from his fallen father. The arc had multiple themes, but the themes that stood out the most because of Kiora, what is the duty of a father? And also kind of what Uncle Ben said to Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. So what is the duty of this person who has this great power? Should they live a life of vanity, or should they put the lives of other people above their own? Chihiro representing the person who will put everyone else's life above his, while Kiora represented the man that only cared about the duty to his clan and his auction. removing himself from being a human and actually being a loving father, using his children as tools of war to protect this auction, turning him into such a horrible, miserable man. In chapter 39, Chihiro says, "But you won't even grieve your own son's death. You call yourself a father. Father? I don't know what your criteria are, but you're wrong to measure me by them. I am the head of the Sazanami clan." This was Kiora putting his duty as his clan over what he was supposed to be, a loving father. In chapter 43, we see Kiora remembering the last words of his wife. Her words were, "This whole time I've been miserable, so now I might as well be honest. You're so brainwashed by all of this traditional stuff. They wouldn't have made me marry you if not for the Rakuzachi. And if the Rakuzachi never took place, then you might not have become such a bad person." Kiora asks himself, why am I remembering this now, my wife's last words, if the Rakuzachi never took place? Kiora remembering his wife's final words was probably one of the most important components of his character. He finally started to question all the things he chose to do, even remembering how he treated his sons. He was finally bottling up with regret. See, Kiora had a great power called the storehouse, where he's able to store people, tools, and weapons. And he was so obsessed with the fact of doing the perfect auction, he chose the wrong duty to use his power for evil instead of doing the right thing, which is being a loving dad and using his power to help the weak. He took advantage of the weak. He destroyed families, he hurt people, he destroyed his own family. This interaction between Kiora and Chihiro made Chihiro solidify his resolve. His resolve became stronger because he realized the duty that his father gave him by protecting these enchanted blades. But this interaction also made Chihiro question his father, with seeing the horrors of one of the strongest enchanted blades be let loose throughout a whole stadium. Chihiro finally had to question what was the goals of his dad and how could his dad create something like this. And this is why he joined the wizard police at the end. Because of Kiora, Chihiro started to question who his father truly is. And I know as the series goes on, there's going to be a major plot twist surrounding his father. Either it's going to be with the betrayal or how his dad was actually killed, or more information of the person his dad truly was. We're not going to know, but it still comes through. There's a good thing that Kagurabachi does with these arcs. The last lesson that Chihiro backs up with the current lesson he's learning in the arc he's fighting it. See, he had to understand the duality of the enchanted blades and accept that the blades can represent protection but also weapons of mass destruction. Now he has to understand what his father's duty was to the world. Did he truly want to protect the world with these enchanted blades, or were they created to destroy everything? At the end of this arc, Kiora dies and he remembers his wife's last words and the words spoken by Chihiro. Your best would have been believing in Hakuri. And Kiora finally admits defeat. You were right, Chihiro. He didn't align with my ideals, so I turned away. I'm the only one who failed to fulfill my duty. This arc was about duty, stacked on top of the original lesson of acceptance that we learned through the Sojo arc. Then we get that final fire panel of Kiora dying with flowers all around him. He accepted that he failed his duty, the duty of a loving father. I'm not gonna lie, the more I read shonen series, the more I realize that a lot of these authors have daddy issues. Now we are moving on to the third arc, and this arc is still ongoing, but Kagurabachi did it again and introduced another generational antagonist. I feel like this antagonist is the weaker out of the three, but I feel like he's gonna play a stronger role later in the series. So this character still has time. But if you guys remember, the first lesson from Sojo was two things can be true at the same time: duality and acceptance. The second lesson by Kiora was duty, the duty of a father, or the responsibility of somebody who has great power. You have a duty to protect the ones that can't protect themselves. We have Hirohiko, and this character represents the concept of what it is to be a monster, something that heavily influenced the JJK manga. Hirohiko wants to place Chihiro in the same box as him, saying they're both monsters, people who kill people. But here we finally get a deeper dive into Chihiro's character and his mindset and his perspective. See, Chihiro already accepted that he is going to hell. He accepted that he is a monster walking down the same path as his father. But the only difference is he's a monster that's going to protect everyone, or protect people from the injustices that he faced in his life, the pain that he experienced. He doesn't want anyone to ever experience that again. This is similar to what Sasuke wanted when he wanted to assassinate the 5 Kage in the final arc. He wanted to become the Shadow Kage, the one person who fights in the shadows to protect the whole entire world. He will control everything to make sure nobody will experience the pain that he felt as a child, the pain Nagato felt as a child, Zabuza, and the list goes on. See, everybody in the Naruto verse were victims of being child soldiers, and Chihiro is no different. See, Hirohiko wanted to pull what Mahito pulled with Yuji. You are me and I'm you. That same old speech, but it didn't work out because Chihiro understands that they're different. Yes, they're both monsters, but what Chihiro fights for is completely different from what Hirohiko fights for. And that's why they hunt each other. And that's why they hunt each other. And Hirohiko had a eureka moment. He finally realized Chihiro was talking the truth. But it just goes to show you how every antagonist has shaped Chihiro's character. And we're continually seeing and understanding Chihiro's perspective through these antagonist characters. And I just feel like as the series continues to go on, it's only going to get better and better until we get to the typical revenge story plot twist where we find out some truths about Chihiro's father. But that's it for the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and I'm out.